Oh, black AIDS. Hello. I have now switched. I just don't even know what's going on, but that's okay. We are still trying. Not quite sure what's going on in New York City, but this is very unusual. Hi, everybody. We're still trying to get through the live with the Black AIDS Institute. Let's see if they'll join. And then we'll be signing off soon anyway, but we just want to be able to get through the last bit of our conversation. Hi, Kevin. Okay, we're still waiting for Black AIDS to join. All right, let's see. Waving at everyone just to see if this is going to work. Third time's the charm? I hope so. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody.
Can you see me?
All right, we're still trying to get in touch with Black AIDS. Let's see. Not quite sure if it's our respective internet, if it's our internet connections. I see that Black AIDS is trying to join again, but we're not sure if they're experiencing problems, if Raniyah was experiencing problems like I was. All right, thanks, guys. Let's see if we can get them back. All right, here we go. Let's see if it works. As you can tell, I'm now using my phone. All right, we're back.
Look at it. Look at us. So resilient.
Listen, third time's the charm. Third time's the charm. I've now switched to my phone, as you can clearly see.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, everybody. We're back. We're back, and we're better than ever.
For sure.
We're sticking through it. The last part of it is I want to talk to you about your, how many people do you have on staff, and, you know, how do you make what you do happen?
Yeah. We have around 20 people on staff, which is actually the largest BAI has ever been. And so before, you know, I would go across, because we would travel all the time pre-COVID, a lot to the South, working with cities, health departments, organizations, speaking engagements. And whenever, you know, we would speak and kind of do events across the country, people would say, oh gosh, how big is BAI? 50 people or so? And it's like, absolutely not.
No.
You know, we're a pretty small organization, particularly for the amount of work that we do. We are, you know, the only national HIV and AIDS think and do tank focused exclusively on Black people. And with an HIV epidemic that disproportionately impacts Black people, we are 13% of the US population, but almost half of new HIV cases and half of people living with HIV. You know, we have huge work to do. And, you know, you said something earlier, how, you know, this is not the 80s, it's not the 90s anymore, but there are some places, and particularly for when you think about the stigma as it relates to HIV, the stigma as it relates to LGBTQ plus folks and communities, that some of that stigma is still as if we were in the 80s and the 90s, especially in the South. And so the work that we have to do is huge. And so people are always really surprised at how small we are for the amount of work that we do. And for us, you know, we have some really strong values that guide our work. And we have an amazing staff that do this work not because, you know, it's glory filled and it's, you know, a huge amount of money, but it's because they believe in our values of Black empowerment and self-determination, that it's going to take us doing this work. I'm really proud that we have a staff that looks like and is the communities that are most impacted by HIV. So for all of this work is personal. And so every day, you know, when we're, you know, working on our training objectives and working on flyers, that it's really about, like, we literally are talking to people who are impacted by HIV every day. And many times we are the lifeline. You know, I can have so many experiences of people who have said, you know, I haven't shared my HIV status in 20 years because I was scared.
Wow.
And this presentation, this conversation makes me feel comfortable and I feel loved and supported. And so, you know, that's what guides us every day. And so, you know, the long hours, you know, are a part of that. We have a really lean but amazing administration team. You know, we are flying across the country. We have these BTN chapters that we support across the country. And so, you know, even though they are, you know, filling Amazon orders and sending them material, that they see the importance of their work and they give, you know, 150% of that. We spend the majority of our money on programmatic expenses. We spend the majority of our money on clients. And that is something that we're very proud of. We're really, really excited about our Charity Navigator rating. You'll see it at the bottom of our website because for us, it, you know, proves, it's one way to prove what we do every day, that we're in this, we do this work, we use all of our monies really towards clients, towards community, and that we run a really lean shop so that we can be able to do that work really well. And so that's important to us. It means we can reach more people.
And I think to your point, I think one of the things that a lot of donors have been talking about, especially this year, is really, you know, what is the impact of the money that they donate to a nonprofit? What does that money really do? You know, obviously I think most donors understand that, you know, they've got to, you know, some of the money has to go to administrative expenses, you know, making sure that the lights are on, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, it does take, it's, you know, you can't look at every nonprofit in the same way because the way they operate their programs may take, one nonprofit, it may take more money to actually do the work that they do, and another one, it may take less money. So, you know, when people do come to charitynavigator.org and they see a nonprofit, really kind of look at how, look at the Form 990 and kind of look through and really just remind yourself that not every nonprofit can run like the next nonprofit. Sometimes it's just going to take more money in order to get the work done in programs than less money, or administratively, it just depends. But, you know, listen, Black AIDS is doing the work on a very small staff, and that's fantastic. Their impact is there, and that's one of the things that Charity Navigator rolled out this year. We have the star ratings system, of which BAI is a part of. But we also have a secondary rating system, which is the Encompass rating system, which is typically for younger, yes, less established, but no less deserving nonprofits out there. And but for all of the nonprofits, we're paying closer and closer attention to impact and results. And I think going forward, it's going to, and there are other things that we're going to be incorporating into our rating systems, but I think we're really kind of trying to go beyond just looking at finances, because that only tells a small portion of the story, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
this was
can I
great.
add something else? And I would
Yeah,
also say, because like so many of our BTN chapters have somebody in the comments is saying, especially if it's a grassroots organizations. And so
yeah.
many of our BTN chapters have grassroots organizations or founders or executive directors that are a part of it. And so having that for these grassroots organizations is so important. And especially when we think about the LGBTQ plus community, I've been so happy to see the increasing number of trans, particularly Black trans women leaders who are leading their own organizations. And so being able to have a space for them to kind of acknowledge the amazing work and the impact that they're doing that many times larger organizations can't get into because they are not the communities that they serve. And one of the things that I think is so beautiful about BAI's work and so many Black-led organizations that we look like the communities that we serve. And many times in nonprofits, what we see, unfortunately, and it's an outcome of systemic racism, is that you may have boards and leadership of an organization that don't look like the communities that they serve. And so what does that mean? And why isn't there a pipeline for leadership? And why are we not building up leadership, particularly of people of color, people who are from the communities that are being served, to be leaders within those organizations? And so I think that, you know, we have a more critical lens as it relates to leadership now, especially after 2020. And so I'm looking forward to how that continues to expand what leadership looks like in this nonprofit world. Nonprofits are so important in really supporting equity in the US and really across the world. And so really building up that nonprofit leadership, building up nonprofit Black leadership, brown leadership, you know, trans leadership is, I think, you know, critically important and is the future that we're going towards.
So this leads me into the last part of our conversation. We're getting there, honey. We are getting there. We are. So what are you looking forward to in 2021? Because you know what? You're going to finish this year strong. I know you are. But you're going to start 2021 just as strong. So what's on tap for 2021?
Yeah, you know, we have a whole new administration going into in the new year.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that we've been screaming and shouting and on top of boxes yelling about is that you cannot end HIV in America without responding to systemic racism. That we see gaps now, actually larger gaps, for example, around things like PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, because we're not responding to medical mistrust that we have in Black communities.
Exactly.
You know, even
Let's
when you
talk
think
about that.
When you talk about COVID, and there's all this work that has to happen to actually get Black folks interested in and be able to make an informed decision around whether they want to take a vaccine or not. We're not saying everybody needs to, but you know, that's a part of this as well. And so really looking at how we can, with this new administration and this momentum that we've seen from 2020, really start to have a plan for dismantling racism and really the drivers that impact health inequity, especially as it relates to HIV, but now also COVID is, you know, primary for us. How do we, you know, speak to this kind of Zoom fatigue that people are feeling? How do we engage folks virtually? You know, the work's not done. And so that's, you know, really, really important to us. But, you know, as we look forward into 2021, there's no way the world's going to go back to normal. There's no way, because Black folks aren't taking a COVID vaccine if we aren't responding to these drivers of inequity, right? If we aren't responding to medical mistrust. And so in the same way that we aren't going to end HIV unless we respond to HIV in Black communities, it's the same thing with COVID. And so for us, that's at top of mind. You know, how do we take this new administration and really kind of hold them accountable and make sure they don't forget that this is priority number one. That if we're talking about, you know, freedom for all, then let's make that for all. So that is, you know, what we're looking into at the top of the year as we swear in this historic elected president and elected vice president.
Yeah. Well, we're going to leave it on that note because you can't get any better to end. You can't end on a better note. You just can't. we've talked. We've talked today about BAI's work. We've talked about World AIDS Day. We've talked about Giving Tuesday. We've talked about donors.
We talked about COVID.
We've talked about COVID. What didn't we talk about? What was on your Thanksgiving menu?
Oh, I ate all of the foods. I made a sweet potato, pumpkin, bourbon pie. I made macaroni and cheese. I mean, we're literally still eating Thanksgiving. What else did I make that was delicious? I made a peach cobbler. I love to cook. And so I took the week off. I got the little 6 bottles of champagne for 30% off from Ralph's, my local grocery store. And so, we just did that for the week. But we fried turkeys. We made some like grilled salmon. As you can tell, I love to eat.
There's something called FedEx, right?
I heard you can freeze the food and just send it, right? Rob, he actually is an amazing cook, and he makes bundt cakes and sends them to people. And so, he's in Atlanta, I'm in LA. Maybe I should put that in our next one-on-one agenda.
Listen, if I have to fly to Atlanta for a bundt, I will. I will.
It's worth
all right. So this was great. Thank you so much. Listen, it was 4 live streams today. We have ended on a high note with the Black AIDS Institute. Tell the people how they can get involved with the Black AIDS Institute, how they can support you guys. Where do they need to go online?
Yeah, so you can go to www.blackaids.org. Please go there and donate to us this Giving Tuesday. We're really excited. We're really hopeful that we're going to have the best Giving Tuesday, the best World AIDS Day, from donations from folks like you. You can also please click on our social media thing up there.
Up there. Somewhere up there.
Yes, please share it with your followers, and ask your friends and your family members to donate to BAI as well. And if you don't have the means to donate, please make sure you follow us. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter, learn about the resources, learn about what you can do to help end HIV within our lifetimes.
That's great. Well, thank you everyone who stuck with us through the first incarnation of this live stream, the second incarnation of this live stream, and now here we are. We're finally at the end. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of the week. On behalf of Charity Navigator, have a good night and take care, everybody.
Thank you, Stacy. Bye.
Bye.